Afterwards, it just takes maybe a day or so to process. All right, so I'm going to introduce our first speakers, our host speakers, if you will. We have Amanda Kay and Pauline Conley from ckSYNERGY. Welcome them to the webinar here. These two are specializing in cross-sector partnerships, and they have worked with all sorts of small, mid-sized to large nonprofits and for-profit businesses, creating those wonderful partnerships that make sense for both institutions involved. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to these ladies here, and we would like to welcome you both.
Good morning. Good morning. Can everyone hear us okay from back here? Let's make sure. Someone's typing. Yes. Yay. Fantastic. Great. We will continue talking early then. We are here today, like Kendall stated, to talk about why business nonprofit partnerships make sense. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to move over to the slide, and I'll review the handout with all of you to make sure that you can see our slides and that you have the handout at the ready. Can everyone see the slides? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so first then, let's go ahead and let's look at that handout. It was distributed in advance of the session. It has the same title as our slides, as our webinar. There's a few sections on there: your assets, partner assets of interest, types of partnerships, and finally on the second page, alignment. These are actually portions of a larger worksheet that Colleen and I created, that we developed to work through cross-sector partnerships. We've used it with businesses, we've used it with nonprofits, we've also used it with government agencies. So we're providing you the portions that are pertinent to our webinar today. If you are interested in the entire worksheet, we're happy to share that with you. Our contact information is at the end. We'd love to meet with you and talk with you about how we might be able to work and help you. Also, at the Mixer on August 15th at Culinary Dropout, we're going to be, are we doing okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. We are going to be auctioning off the worksheet as well as the two of us to help work through that worksheet. And we'd love to see you there. It's an opportunity to network with one another, maybe kick off one of these partnerships perhaps, and then also we will be auctioning off our services to a nonprofit as well as a business. All right, so we haven't gotten any feedback that we're having any issues, so let's move right along to the next slide. So with our title and with the intent of this webinar, we're making a really large assertion. The assertion being that these partnerships not only make a difference in the community, but they're also going to make a difference in your bottom line. So we wanted to explain what we mean by that statement, and that it's not just something we're making up. We all know that both local businesses and nonprofits build strong communities, but more and more now we're seeing that customers and the community at large are demanding that businesses take a more active role. And in fact, 50% of buyers now make their purchase decisions based on their own beliefs. And so what that means for businesses is that customers want to know that businesses value the same causes that they do, that their beliefs align with you, the business, and more than just the beliefs, your beliefs aligning, they want to see that you're taking action in the community to make a difference, and they want to work alongside you to make that difference. And what that means for nonprofits then is that since customers are looking for businesses to align with a cause, you, the nonprofit, can make your mission that cause. You can go on.
So let's back up and talk about how these partnerships have happened in the past. In the past, a business would give money to a nonprofit, and the nonprofit would go out and do the work to affect social change. Switch to the next slide. That's not what we're seeing as much anymore. In the old model, there was no reciprocal relationship. There was a one-way transfer of resources. The relationship was pretty superficial, and partners weren't on an equal playing field from a power perspective. Slide. What we're seeing more of now are mutually beneficial partnerships. So what we mean by that, mutually beneficial partnerships work to strengthen one another as well as work towards supporting a common cause. By supporting each other and the community, they're able to create a much larger social impact than was possible under the old model.
So with this idea of mutually beneficial relationships, it leads us to a question. And the question is, in order to create a mutually beneficial relationship, how can you make each other better? You need to consider what assets you can bring to the table, so what it is that you're going to be providing to your partner, and also quote, what's in it for me? So that is what you are going to be getting out of the relationship. And that's how you ensure that it not only benefits the community at large, so you're making that social change, but it also benefits you and your partner as well. That's called asset leverage. In order to understand this a little better, let's take a look at the image on the slide of the bee and the flower. They have a symbiotic relationship, as many of you probably already know. In this case, when we're talking about asset leverage, the bee benefits the flower by collecting or transporting the pollen. So in this case, pollination is the bee's asset that it's leveraging for the flower. And the flower benefits from the bee, or rather benefits the bee, by providing an essential nutrient for the bee to survive, the pollen. So in this case, the pollen is the asset that the flower is leveraging for the bee. Ultimately, by leveraging these two assets, the entire community is benefiting because there's a proliferation of flowers and the production of honey. So they're both benefiting one another and the community at large. I hope that sort of helps you understand what asset leverage means in our instances. So if you want to go ahead and look at that handout we provided you, at the top you're going to notice it says your assets and partner assets of interest. Keeping that in mind, consider these questions. What are your assets? And so you can go through the worksheet and check them off where appropriate. But more importantly, of those assets that you have, what assets are desirable to a potential partner? What assets do you think are something that a partner would be interested in utilizing? And most importantly, which ones are you comfortable leveraging? Just because you have an asset doesn't mean you want to give it away. I feel like I'm talking about a romantic relationship here, but just because you have the asset doesn't mean you want to give it away and doesn't mean you want to give it away to everyone. So put a lot of thought into, right? Put a lot of thought into when you want to provide that asset and what you're expecting to get in return for that asset in order to make sure that you're protecting your brand. Finally, when you're looking at the second portion there, partner assets of interest, what assets would you be interested in utilizing from a potential partner? So in order to make the relationship worth it, what are you expecting? Like I said before, quote, what's in it for me? It's freezing here on our screen. Can you see us all right still? Okay. So then in addition to examining what you can bring to the table and what you want to get out of the partnership, what you should also consider, if you'd like to the end of the slide, are you a good fit? And what we mean there is, okay, great, is there alignment? The best way to explain this is to look at a fantastic example of really, really bad alignment between JDRF and KFC. As you all know, KFC is a fast food chain and JDRF is Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. What they did for a cause marketing campaign is they sold a mega jug of sugary soda, and $1 of every jug, yeah, they really did this, $1 of every jug benefited the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Our panel is giving me really large eyes. I hope that all of you, either from home or your office, are all shocked by this as well. This is how it was perceived by the community at large. There was a lot of negative press. People were very turned off by this campaign. They pulled it. In fact, the reason that the picture quality on here is so poor is it is the only image that any longer is on the web. I think they tried to destroy any evidence that they ever did this. So what this drives home, though, is that initial stat we were talking about, that 50% of buyers now make purchase decisions based on beliefs. It is really, really important that you consider what cause you're choosing to support and what your call to action is for that cause, whether you're a nonprofit or a business. Because if you select either the wrong cause or the wrong call to action, you're going to end up alienating 50% of the marketplace, rather than getting them to rally behind you and either bring more business through your doors or help you execute your mission, etc. So you really want to consider what you and your brand believes in and what cause would resonate with you. But then you want to consider, of those options, what cause you think and what call to action you think is going to resonate best with your audience. If you look at the second page of the worksheet entitled Alignment, you'll see here that Colleen and I have developed some questions that you can review whenever you're considering a partnership. And we hope that that really helps you make certain that the partnership makes sense, C-E-N-T-S, for you. Yes, I did that intentionally. All right, next slide, please.
So now we've talked about selecting a cause that resonates with your audience. Consider what assets that you have that you want to leverage and what assets that you're looking for in a potential partner. And we made sure that our cause is aligned. So now we need to select the right tool for the job, and we're going to talk about partnership types. So most people are familiar with cash or in-kind donations, but there are lots of different ways that you can partner. And if you look at your handout, you will see under the heading Types of Partnerships, different partnership types that we've outlined there. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but it can help get you thinking about ways in which you. One thing to keep in mind is that relationships become stronger the more engagement that you have. So where appropriate, you can consider multiple partnership types with the same partner. Now, this might not always be appropriate based on the assets that you're leveraging or on the alignment. I mean, we think about the last example with JDRF and KFC. There may have been a way that they could partner, but choosing to support a sugary drink with juvenile diabetes was clearly, cause marketing was the wrong way to go. So it's important to think about expanding current relationships before having to think about new partners. Partnerships and relationships in general require lots of time and resources to manage effectively, and your assets are often most valuable when they're leveraged with fewer partners. So taking a look at your handout, questions to consider when reviewing the partnership type portion of this. What partnership types will best meet your business objectives and the objectives of your partner? And of that list, what types of partnership best leverages each partner's assets? And finally, what types of partnerships best resonate with your constituents? So in order to do this select a partnership portion, you need to think about the assets, the alignment, and finally, choose the right tool, the partnership, to advance your relationship.
So Colleen and I have set the stage for the guest speakers we have today by defining the important components to consider to ensure that your business nonprofit partnerships benefit the community and your pockets at your nonprofit or your business. If you have any questions specific to your organization, we'd love to hear from you. As I mentioned, our contact information will be on the final slide, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. We will also be at the mixer, and we're happy to answer them in person as well. If you can't tell, I'd really love for all of you to come to the mixer. So we're going to hear from our guest speakers now. We have Allison Van Dyke from Goodmans Interior Structures. We have Sophie Etchart from Breed Better, Be Better. And we have Lisa Olson from Practical Art. As we're hearing from the guest speakers, if you have any specific questions, please feel free to type those in. And at the end, Kendall is going to read them off to our guest speakers. And if we have time, we'll try to answer them all. All right, so let's go ahead and move I can't. All right, let's get started. Let's go ahead first, and I just want to confirm that everyone can hear me. Okay, great. All right, so let's get started first, and let's hear from Allison and Sophie. In general, can you discuss your motivations for pursuing business nonprofit partnerships and how you both benefited from them?
Okay. I'm Allison Van Dyke. I'm from Goodmans Interior Structures, and Goodmans has a long-standing vision to change the community. It's part of our brand. It's part of how we recruit and retain top talent. So the motivation behind it is one of changing our community and of providing opportunities for our employees to enrich their lives, enrich their professional experience at Goodmans, and hopefully retain the top talent that we want to keep within our four walls so that they don't leave to seek that same experience at another company. So it contributes to the culture of our company, and that's our motivation.
I'm Sophie Etchar from Read Better, Be Better, and we inspire and equip 8th graders to implement a reading comprehension curriculum with 3rd graders after school. And for us, we're a startup organization, so we talked about the traditional nonprofit partnership model of just giving money and it being a transactional relationship. When you're a startup, you need to leverage more than that. And so what we look for in partners are people who are truly engaged and who truly deeply believe in what we do. Actually, how they partner with us is kind of less what we're looking for. We're looking for people who have brand alignment and who, Goodmans, as soon as you walk into their office, the fact that they mean what they say about community development is just, it's everywhere that you look. And so that we needed to engage meaningfully with a company that truly cares. And then that has led to so many different forms of partnership that it's allowed us to go from serving 64 kids to serving 642 kids in like 18 months. So it makes a significant difference to our mission and our end goal.
Can you speak to what type of relationship the two of you have and what you do leverage and what you provide one another?
Sure.
Should we talk about how it started?
Yeah, because it's sort of that's how beautiful things happen.
Yeah.
So I was originally introduced to Adam through another network. My job was to network initially as we were getting started. So I was introduced to the chief exec.
He's the CEO and president,
the big
owner
deal
of Goodmans.
Yeah, and so I met Adam, and that's how you get that sense. Adam lives and breathes, and he's a very, very strong personality, and he just immediately kind of hooked on. And we were sort of talking about what it might lead to, but very much just kind of getting to know each other and making sure that, again, the brands are aligned. And from Adam, you just know that he's doing everything that he's doing for the right reasons, and it's really refreshing. And so we were kind of talking about that, and then at the same time,
At the same time,
a little shortly afterwards.
Right, you were at Seed Spot doing, you were participating in the speed mentoring, and I was one of the speed mentors, and we met.
Yeah.
And then we decided to get together later to talk about marketing assistance that we might be able to help you with. And when you came in, that was when you revealed that you'd been talking to Adam, and then it just kind of grew from there. And then a year later, or a few months later, I was actually helping to mentor Kelsey at Read Better, Be Better for the Fast Pitch. So it just kind of all snowballed, and the relationship just grew and grew, and it was a very meaningful experience. And Kelsey did really well at Fast Pitch, and won significant prize. So it was, that experience was really bonded us to Read Better, Be Better. Several employees at Goodmans then hopped on and wanted to volunteer for Read Better, Be Better. And now there's a 12-foot mural in our office for Read Better, Be Better. It's part of our showroom story, and we take people on tours and we talk about it. I can't tell you how many times a week I'm talking about Read Better, Be Better in our office. So that's kind of how it just happened naturally.
I think two things. One thing, the really cool thing is that's I hear so many people. So we walked into Goodman's office was you guys, you're huge, you're right up on the wall, and they genuinely present us in a way that I know, and I'm really picky about how we're presented and who we're aligned with. So I know that that's happening all the time. But then if you look at what's happened, so we have an annual report that I give to every single person that I meet. And every single time I meet them, I say, and it's in both of our interests for me to say, Goodmans, Adam essentially funded this. Allison designed it. It was produced on Goodmans, by Goodmans. So every single person who I am meeting and I'm telling them about how fabulous our organization is, I present it and say, look, this is how fabulous it is, and this is who made it. And I want to shout out Goodmans for the right reasons because they did that, but also I want them to know that we don't have funding to produce a phenomenally professional annual report. So that's every day. I give that out about 5 times a day. We have bookmarks that also we produce and Goodmans print for us. We wouldn't have the budget to print those. I give them to every single teacher that we work with. And then there's more things that so then there's the mural on the wall, then the photographer from the mural on the wall is actually going to come into our business and help us redesign our website. And so, I mean, the actual tangible things that we've got are so unbelievably broad, but it didn't start with any of that. It started with us understanding that we both do what we do for the right reasons and connecting over that.
I think that's a really important takeaway, that your relationship was built off of a mutual cause, a mutual passion for a cause, and that it was a really organic and genuine relationship that you were able to build, that it wasn't built off of a transaction or a, what are we going to get out of this initial meeting. And so I think that's really important, to leverage your contacts and look at the connections that you have in the community and work on building that relationship on something, a mutual interest, if you will, and seeing from there how you can build it. Like Pauline was saying, the more engagement opportunities you have, the better. So thank you, I love that.
We have actually a question from Eric, who's on the line with us. He missed where the mural is. He said he would love to go and see it. Where is this mural?
It's inside the Indian School offices of Goodmans Interior Structures.
Wonderful, thank you.
Lisa, can you share with us how Practical Art got started with your Charity Pie social night? And can you talk to us specifically about your motivations for pursuing something like this and how you benefited from it?
Absolutely. So again, on that whole idea of something just kind of happening organically, we started a little bit over 4 years ago just hosting a pie night here at our shop, and it was kind of one of those things where my sister is a baker. She's extraordinarily talented. Karen Olson is a new pie. We'll plug there. But so we started having a pie night, and it was one of those things where we had a lot of people who were coming in, and at the time it was like just a free event, and we were just again trying to build not only our shop and our customer base, but also just like connections with the community. So it kind of was like one of those situations that one day we were like, well, what if we added like a charitable element to this? So rather than it being free pie, we're getting $5 for a slice of pie, $10 for like unlimited pie, and then giving that money to an organization that either we volunteer with or are working with regularly, or organizations that our customers like recommend is like a huge part of it, which again goes back to that whole concept of just building relationships with the people who are already there and who are already supporting you. And then for us, it's actually been just a really, really wonderful event that's kind of taken off in ways that, we didn't necessarily know where it was going to go. But on average, we raised about $1,000 in one night in 2 hours, just in $5 and $10 donations. Plus then people making purchases in our shop. And again, the partnership is like a really huge part of that. Like, not only, again, do we have our customer base who is learning about an organization that we believe in, but that organization is also bringing their supporters in, and they're learning about our store and like our artists and the things that we're doing on a regular basis. So it kind of is really one of those win-wins for everybody, where you know, you just partner with the right people and you do the right things, and big giant things happen. I'm actually super proud of this. I looked this number up just now. We now in 4 years have raised over $40,000 for different nonprofits in the Valley.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So,
wow. Thank you for sharing that. I particularly love how you mentioned that you look to your customers and you look to your community to make the decisions on who to support.
absolutely.
That way you're making a decision not just on your own, in your own little bubble in a vacuum, but rather you're getting the community involved and picking something that resonates with them, which kind of goes back to that stat we were talking about, and ensuring that you have alignment.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also a great way of, like, even just for me on a personal level, like, I found out about organizations that I now volunteer with on a more regular basis through like a customer recommendation, and then, you know, you meet someone from the organization and kind of how you're talking, like, it just builds into these other things. Like, I mean, we've worked with 1 in 10, which is a really great organization, and on multiple levels, like, we ended up doing like a show with some of the youth that they work with, and we're going to do a bunch of stuff this holiday season with them. So, you know, it is just building those partnerships with organizations that are doing the things that you think benefit the community, and just going from there.
I love it. Next, so you touched on alignment, and we've talked a lot about that today. Can you share, the two of you, Sophie and Allison, can you share how the two of you align? I know that you just touched a little bit about that on your relationship, but perhaps how your objectives and how your culture at your organizations both align, and in general, what you look for from a partner, maybe not from one another, but just in general, what you're looking for from others.
I know that at Goodmans, what we try to do is partner with organizations that we know are trying to create a better future for our community. So it was a very natural fit with Read Better, Be Better, because they are making sure that our youth are properly educated and able to move forward and have productive and, you know, robust lives, therefore contributing something great to our community in the future. That was easy. That's a very easy alignment for us. Sophie can speak to why she thought Goodmans was a good fit for her.
For us, it's like, again, when you're a startup, every single relationship that you build affects your brand. So everyone that we align ourselves with, that we're going to market that partnership, we're going to be judged on that. And when you're fundraising, you know, I take that really seriously, and I always have done. And so that was the biggest factor for me. It's not about kind of see and be seen. It's about you're telling people who you are, when you're saying who you know, whatever that, like, tell me who you lie with or whatever it is. So for me, I think it's lacking, sadly, unfortunately, because there are dollars involved. People think, well, I'm going to bring this person to the table because they come with $20,000, you know, and that's very short term, and it can break you. And so, like, for example, you know, I'm sure that whoever that was giving a ton of money to the Diabetes Association, but it'll break you. And so it's, for me, about people who do the right things for the right reasons. And it's rare, and it's when that happens, everything else comes. We just built some other relationship actually with a phenomenal brand, and that the first project that we did together didn't necessarily benefit us directly, but association with that brand, and with those people who were doing it for 100% the right reasons. Just the same as Goodmans does. You know, Kelsey got $25,000 from Fast Bitch. So the money will come, the sense will come, you know, but it's about together creating something and just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
And it's not just about
the money that you have to give. That's an important distinction that we make at Goodmans. It's about leveraging our talent, leveraging our resources that we have available to us. We have a talented marketing department that we leverage those talents by helping to design marketing materials. We, with other organizations, we have trucks, we have big delivery trucks. We utilize those trucks for other organizations. So we have warehousing space. So we really try to leverage the resources that we have available, not just give money, because it helps our employees be invested.
And your people, I mean, every single person in their office was allowed to take time to come and work for our organization without taking PTO. So, I mean, that's the chief executive saying, I'm going to pay you to go and work for someone else because he believes that that is the right thing to do. And that is, in the end, he's talks about conscious capitalism, and it's such a fabulous idea. It's going to come back and benefit him in the end, but it's also going to benefit us hugely because I don't have to pay 2 members of staff, and so there's, when to go back, what we're looking for in alignment, it's professionalism, branding, and then I guess it's kind of like ethical alignment, just.
And there's a big benefit for us when you talk about dollars and cents. So in marketing our business, to avoid being seen as a commodity, we want to deliver the message to our customers and our potential customers that we are different. This is a differentiator for us. And if they're looking at price here and price here with a competitor, all things being equal, we want them to want to work with us because we're doing all of this extra stuff. They like us better. That's part of it for us too. That's another motivator. And the organizations that we choose to work with matter when we're making those choices.
And every time when I hand out that annual report and I say, do you know Goodmans Interior Structures? It's they're amazing. Every time. So that's great for them. It's great for me. And it happens every time. Yeah, we've had him. He's awesome.
Lisa.
Yeah.
How has your business changed since you started?
I mean, we've grown and we've had a lot of growth. I definitely think that the charitable aspects of it help that. If every year we're working with 12 organizations. Granted, there are a lot of organizations that we now partner with annually for our Pie Nights. But in general, you're building your customer base in a way that it is people who want to support you kind of in the same way as the whole Goodman thing. Hey, we're doing good things and we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is. Our whole space is work that's made by local artists, and we're here to sort of support the Phoenix, Arizona community. So then when we can back that up and say hey, look, we're also supporting these organizations. Hey, if you're looking for someplace you want to volunteer, we recommend these 5 places. We send people to those places, send their supporters to us, when you need a gift or when you need something or other. So it just builds this truly loyal base of people who want to see you succeed and want to help you succeed. So there's just partnerships that are not bottom line dollar it's not just about the money. It's kind of everybody's talking about here. That's obviously important. We got to pay bills and artists and all the rest of that. But you're building these relationships that just make your business stronger and make the community stronger. And then there's this overall change that happens that just is positive on every level.
Awesome. I think probably a big question that everyone has, if you're all comfortable speaking to this, what hurdles, since you've decided to go into these business nonprofit partnerships, what hurdles, if any, have you encountered? And are there any best practices that you've derived from that so that maybe the people on the phone right now and watching us on the web don't have to make those same mistakes?
I can talk about our early hurdle, and it's kind of talking to what I talked to you before. Goodmans very, very generously gave the opportunity for all of their staff to come and work with us without taking PDO. And initially that, you know, I was a staff of 5 people or something. And so that was extraordinarily helpful. And I jumped ahead far too quickly and was like, yes, they can replace our staff because we don't have any staff. And I think that turned out to be challenging because, like I said, you know, we respect capitalism. We have a symbiotic relationship with that. And these people manage teams, and they have a bottom line that they have to have as their priority, as they absolutely should. And I just jumped too quickly into that. And so we had situations where those people had to manage something internally with their team, or, you know, in one case, someone had been waiting for a client to get back to them for months, and, you know, and they eventually got that meeting, and of course they had to go and do that. And that left me in a situation where I didn't have a staff to staff that school. And so and they absolutely sorted it out every time, and someone replaced them, but we noticed that wasn't going to work so well, and so we use them as supports in the schools, which is probably more beneficial for them anyway, because we were putting them slightly outside of their comfort zone. And so now they can do that in a way that is much more, it fits within their schedule much better, and it's not going to affect our end business if for some reason they have to meet another responsibility that they have. So that was a challenge early on, and that's just an example of not kind of necessarily thinking something through on my side and getting super excited. I think we were really excited both.
Yeah.
They were really excited to do it as well.
Yeah. We get eager.
Yeah.
Overly eager, and then promise things that aren't practical sometimes. And so it's about slowing down, really examining the opportunities in front of you, and then making practical decisions, and really taking into account all of the possibilities of pitfalls that might occur. So, you know, trying to just be proactive and think about what things might go wrong and how are we going to handle that if that happens. Okay, well, maybe we need to redefine the rule a little bit, or the promise, or whatever it is.
So really thinking through from the onset what the expectations are of the relationship, and then outlining very specific roles and responsibilities to ensure that everyone can follow through with those.
Right.
And then
what's your plan B?
Right. And then coming up with that plan B, and perhaps even after you've gone out and executed that, take a step back and think about how did this work, what worked well, what didn't work, so you can learn for next time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How about you, Lisa? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I definitely think communication is a key part to it. Like for us, like again, our event has kind of grown in a pretty like just organic manner. A really random, probably only relative to our event, like problem is like for a while, we just like had basically one table with pie, and there was like a giant line that formed. So then you had people that were like waiting 45 minutes for pie. So like kind of reconfiguring like how we were like serving that on those nights. But really, like I would say the biggest thing to me is that communication and setting up like the expectations appropriately at the beginning. Like, you know, at first we were kind of like, hey, we're doing this charity pie night. Like, do you want to be the beneficiary? Like, cool, awesome. And then like they would, you know, we don't put any expectations on them, but so then they would just show up but not really know what to do or like want to help, but like, hey, we have it all kind of set up. So like we kind of set up better boundaries where it's like, okay, the expectations or the things that we really need from you are to, you know, like communicate that this event is happening to your like people in your organization. And then, yeah, so just sort of setting up those expectations in a way where it's like, hey, you know, if you don't do it, you're not responsible, you don't have to do anything, but if you're willing to do these things, like this is what you're going to get in return. Like our donation is we can, you know, have a donation that's over $1,000, or we can have a donation that's like closer to $500-600. Like you're the difference in that, like in your partnering with us rather than it just being like this event that we're hosting. So communicating that and figuring out how to appropriately, like, you know, talk about like, you know, that the money aspect of it and the communication of it is, I think, one of the things that has been the sort of learning curve, like thing that now that we kind of know it better, we have better success.
Great. Thank you so much for being brave and sharing with us things that you've learned and hurdles that you've had along the road. Colleen,
Are there any other questions that people have online? Okay. I just wanted to allow for a little bit of time, if that were the case.
We're holding, if any of you have any questions. Oh, it looks like Eric has a question. Can you type that in for us, Eric? We'll just read it off of here. Let's see. All right, here we go. How would you approach an existing nonprofit you are working with on marketing opportunities? Oh, I'm sorry. How would you approach an existing nonprofit we're working with on marketing opportunities? So perhaps, Eric, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, perhaps in your case, Sophie, how you were saying that Goodmans put together this amazing annual report for you, and then I'm perhaps drawing an assumption here, but how you're going out and you're essentially marketing Goodmans on Goodmans' behalf because you're constantly talking them up and you're showing everyone the products that they make, etc.
Sure.
So how would you want someone to approach you if they wanted to work with you in that manner?
You mean a business? I mean, the way that I approach everything like that, when I have the initial meeting, it's a very open initial meeting, and then we talk. It's the same as when I'm hiring my staff, right? We look at what skill do you have to offer, what assets do you have, what are you professional at that we are not professional at, which is almost everything. And so we're really honest about that. And so it's, you know, what asset do you have and what do we need and how do we make that happen together? So I mean, that could be all kinds of things. We do the same, I guess, with Rick, which is also because of Goodmans, but he has an asset in that he is a professional, internationally renowned photographer, and he was the photographer who did the murals for Goodmans. And I leveraged that relationship and said, you know, hey, you obviously like what we do. He came out, he saw our kids, he saw the project. How would you like to make a video about what we're doing? And how would you like to shoot some more photos? And his asset is his skill. We don't have access to a professional photographer. We don't have access to a marketing team. We don't have, you know, so it's, you know, if you are the business, then you approach the nonprofit and you say, this is what we do professionally. If this is a service that, you know, that is useful to you. And the plugging is going to come if you do a good job. You know, I'm not going to plug anything that I don't fundamentally believe was done with the right intention. You know, so, I mean, you could come to me and give me 5,000 bookmarks or whatever, but if it's got your brand all over it and I have, you know, and we don't have that alignment, then that's not plugging. And that comes back to what we're talking about. I'm plugging because everything that organization does is because they think it's the right thing to do, and then I am proud to tell people about it.
But it sounds like you're proud to tell them about it because it's coming from a good place and you're already working together. You have that trust, you have that relationship. It all kind of stems from there. And then it sounds like you guys have an open and honest dialogue about what you can bring to the table. So it is having that conversation. And like you said, Lisa, with your nonprofit partners, having that conversation with, we can get you this far, but in order to get you to, you know, the next level, we need your engagement here. So it's setting up those conversations and being intentional about that and being able to lay things on the table. Here's all the things we can do. Do you guys have any resources in that area? Is there any way having those questions and conversations?
And once you build that trust, it's easy to ask. You just ask when you want something. And I love that. I love that she's direct with me about what we can do for her. It makes it a lot easier when you have that clarity.
So Lisa and Allison, then from a business perspective, if you want to work with another nonprofit and you have something that you're trying to get out of it, some asset that you're looking to leverage, how do you typically go about approaching them? To get back to Eric's question.
I know that for me, it's whatever happens organically. If I'm in a conversation with someone at a mixer or at a business event and they're a nonprofit and it resonates with me and I know that the work that they're doing aligns with Goodman's vision, I'll just say, hey, why don't we get together and talk a little bit about how we might work together? I just let it happen organically.
Great. I have to say I definitely would agree with that. It's been, for us, more organic than anything else. I mean, there have definitely been organizations that, it's like something will get mentioned on multiple occasions and you kind of just like are like, oh, I should look into that and kind of do a little bit of research, find out if it's an organization that, like, again, I think we would partner well with. And then I will usually, like, find a contact and send an email or try to set up an appointment to sort of, like, go down and talk to people and just sort of make that, like, actual human contact. But then also, like, again, for us, a lot of it is, like, our customers will come in and they'll be like, hey, I volunteer for this organization or I work for this organization. And, like, they'll kind of make that initial connection for us, like, and then that just does make it a lot more of a smooth transition because it's like, hey, you have someone that's already kind of volunteering with them, donating to them, whatever it is that they're doing. But it kind of like initiate that conversation, which, they're vouching for us just as much as they're, vouching for the charity. So it just makes it like a easy connection.
Fantastic. So what I'm hearing then, whether you're a nonprofit or a business, is that networking and having connections and having someone introduce you, in your case, Lisa, is really important because you need to know that it's someone that you can trust and someone that you can work with, and that goes a lot further than just randomly selecting someone. And here comes my plug. So on Tuesday, August 15th, we're having a mixer at Culinary Dropout, and perhaps we can get some of that networking going, and perhaps we can even try to jumpstart one of these mutually beneficial relationships there. All right, so then, Colleen, I'm going to hand it over to you, and the next slide, or next, you can say it's 2 slides.
So since we're here at Practical Art today, Lisa, you've shared with us generally about your pie nights. We are going to do a little plug for your next pie night.
Yeah.
And we have Christy Moore here from Social Spin to talk about her organization. It's a little bit different. You're a benefit corporation. And give us a little bit of information about what you do. And then Lisa will have you give us some specifics about the next pie night. Yeah. Because we all want to.
We all want to eat pie.
So Social Spin is an Arizona-based benefit corporation. We're following the footsteps of Goodmans Interior, which was Arizona's first benefit corporation. We're on a mission to transform laundromats into vibrant social hubs that celebrate arts, culture, and community. I really believe that they're underperforming community assets, and we have an opportunity to bring back human dignity and respect into an asset that our low-income neighbors really benefit from. Our team members are Opportunity Youth, so they work 3 months on on-the-job training to learn employable skills and build confidence to tackle the world like you. We offer wash and fold services in less than 2 weeks, August 21st, and Practical Art is one of our community drop-off locations. So if you're interested in having our Opportunity Youth wash and fold your clothes, all neat and clean, that service becomes available August 21st.
Awesome. Thank you. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's driven by, I come from extreme poverty. I know what it's like to wear dirty clothes for weeks at a time. I also know what it's like to spend a lot of time at laundromats, and they're dirty, unsafe, and boring spaces, and I really want to create places where people feel important and valued.
And in the connection world, Christy worked with Valley Leadership, which was a program that I went through 2 years ago. So that's how I met Christy, and she approached me about like this adventure she was starting on, and it was an automatic yes. Like, one, I believe in Christy as a person, and I believe in like the mission of what she's trying to accomplish. So it was just kind of a win. Like, yeah, let's help you support that.
So they are actually our very first fundraiser. So that's going to be August 25th here at Practical Arts. So come hungry. All you can eat is only $10.
Yep, only $10. $10 you can have as much pie as you would like. My sister is a really amazingly talented baker. She usually makes somewhere between 12 and 20 different types of pie. There are things for everybody of every dietary restriction, and if you have requests, we absolutely take them. You can send them to us at info@practical-art.com or on our Facebook page, social media, anywhere. You put in a pie request, and it will be here.
Awesome. Okay, one more time. Give us the details.
All right, Charity Pie Night at Practical Art happens on August 25th from 7 to 9. And if you want any more information or have questions, if you're an organization that would like to potentially participate in the future, please feel free to email us at info@practical-art.com or call us. The phone number is 602-264-1414.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. So back to Colleen and I then. You've missed our faces, be honest. We just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed hearing from all of our guest speakers, so thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You made this webinar. And thank you all for tuning in. We are really looking forward to seeing you at that mixer on August 15th. And I think that's it for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, everybody. We will send out the recording of this webinar and and you'll definitely get an invite from me for not only our Local First Arizona Mixer, but also the Charity Pie Night. I hope that you can join us for both events and find your next powerful partnership. All right, thank you so much.